Yes, the day is 10th day of May 2022. Good morning. This is KBC News Check, and here we do endeavor to ensure that you are kept afloat on the latest happening that are shaping the country. And a lot of things, I'll tell you for fact, is that are shaping the country. And when you talk about politics, a lot is in store. Well, also today we are having the last session of Parliament. Yes, Parliament is back today amidst a lot of politics, budgets, polls. We have a lot, but we will be talking about that because my guests in the first hour are politicians, or so to speak. They will be, because they want to seek some positions in the country. We'll be talking about that in a short while. But in the second hour, we're talking about Parliament is back, and also talking about the budget, the high cost of living. And remember is that the last session, and when you talk about cost of living, it affects, the first thing it affects is the food. So how is our food security in terms of matters environmental conservation, and also in terms of matters nutrition? Well, I'll be joined by a panel of experts in the second hour. But for now, the first hour, we're talking about matters politics. My name is Njue, and now I'm joined by two politicians. Let me call them politicians because they have been cleared by their parties to contest in the 2022 August general polls. On my immediate left, we have Gigi Kagombe. Gigi Kagombe will be seeking the seat, the MP seat in the president's backyard of Gatundu South via the UDA party ticket. And just next to him we have Diego Ngugi Wilson, who was also a governance expert, and he will be seeking a seat, an MP seat in Daraka, but he will be seeking on a different party, that is Chama Chakazi, whose patron is Gatundu, incidentally Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria. Gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Thank you. Thank you.
You went through a grueling exercise, if I may say. Yep. In terms of the nomination. In a minute, how was it? And did you see and did you ensure that there was the democracy, the party democracy that we want to see, so that our parties and our politics are more robust?
In the interest of time, I'll talk about the nominations generally and how they happened. And I would say, Ben, that we've seen a very infuriating scenario for me, if you ask me, because we've only had one party that was bold enough to come out and say, we are going to meet the people, we are going to exercise universal suffrage, we are going to let the people decide. We're going to go to the people and ask them to vote. I mean, everybody else has been sitting in big hotels, and I mean, I was thinking about it today and asking myself, Kiambu gubernatorial and the entire nomination for some of the people parties that we are running against were done at Windsor. So I'm wondering how many Kenyans have been to Windsor. I mean, not even a percent, not even 1% of those people can even, not even of the voters, even of the contestants, yes, has been to that hotel. So when you start exercising democracy in those places, then you find it very interesting. So I would say our party.
Your party is an exception for that, or including
we went to the people, and we went to all the polling stations as they are, and the people had their way, and they talked, they had their say, they said who they wanted to run as their candidates, and therefore that's why we face the people and say we are ready for the elections.
All right. And Diego, you were also had to go through the grueling task of the party primaries, and incidentally you were in UDA, but now what changed?
Thank you, Ben, and again thank you to KBC for this invitation. I'm happy to have met my long-time friend. Yeah, I was in UDA. Nothing much changed. It's only that when you consult the electorates and they advise you to run on a certain party that also supports the deputy president as the president of this nation, then you are going to go. So I think I went around, I gathered some advices from friends, and we agreed that Chama cha Kazi is a friendly party to UNDA, and we are all in Kenya Kwanza, so we didn't have much problems in having a friendly fire in the coming elections. In terms of nominations, I think, as my friend said, I agree that UNDA gave it a trial. Nothing is perfect, but at least they've shown some democracy. They allowed people to compete and they get them best from the people themselves, other than come and decide who is running on what ticket and all that. But if all the contestants then were comfortable in agreeing, then I don't have a problem as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and Gigi, from what the Deputy President was talking about there before we lost the feed, is that the Kenya Kwanza is actually now fortified. We have an addition of PA and also the Maendeleo Chap is also in the Kenya Kwanza alliance as from yesterday. What do you have to say for that? Because now Kenya Kwanza is taking in some profit while Azimio is taking some hits.
I would say it takes time for some, I mean, for people to realize when things are happening. But I actually expect even more people and more parties to come. I expect Wiper to be coming. I expect, in fact, I think by the end of this story, I think even ODM will have come.
That, to be very honest,
they will realize, they must have realized now this is where the country is, this is where the country is going. And like we keep saying, just before he lost the feed, the Deputy President there was saying that this is not about the leaders. This is about Wanjiko. This is about the Mwananchi out there. This is about the economy. This is about our people out there in the villages, the people who are out there as herdsmen, the people who are out there in the farms. This is about them. And therefore, everybody, and like we always say, our bottom-up model is to say that we start from out there and then come all the way up. We start so that our politics is informed by the needs of the people down there. As opposed to thinking that you have this idea and you have a solution for the people. No, listen to them. You think they want unga, maybe you think they want sugar, maybe they want unga. You think they want bread, they want something else. They want muhogo. So first listen from out there and then come. And because I realize our competitors in this thing have not been listening, and that is the biggest undoing of that other side. Because you realize, like I was just saying, and I was telling you that you find meetings. Yesterday, when the other side was holding meetings at Serena, the Deputy President was in Wamba, in Samburu, listening to the people. When other guys were here in Windsor, the Deputy President was in Marsabit, listening to the people. You need to go to the ground. And I think because it is a bit too late now, that's why you find people coming. And some of these people have also have wanted to come. And I expect a lot of people to come because they have wanted to come, but there has been a lot of threats from government. We have really weaponized this government. And we have used it to, instill fear, make people's lives unbearable and uncomfortable, and kill democracy. And now I think because time is ticking, now people are getting the courage to now come and say, okay, fine, now we have time, we can afford, we can deal with your oppression for these few months that are left, and then we'll be good. And so I expect even people who do not have a proper spine like Alonso to be coming very soon. Yeah.
Okay, Diego, do you support what Gigi is talking about here? Because looking at, he's mentioned Kalonzo Musyoka, and incidentally, Kalonzo, as we speak, finally decided that he is going he's going to the panel for, let's call them the interview, the running mate interviews at Serena Hotel. And Diego, perhaps you can dig in that speech by Amason Jeffa King talking about we didn't want a political party to join a political party, we want a coalition. And of course, even Alfred Mutua's party, they talked about they didn't like the zoning that was there in Azimio. Incidentally, we had invited somebody from the Azimio coalition, but something came up and he had to cancel the last minute. So we had tried to make things at least quite balanced. Diego, kindly dig in.
Yeah, this is expected, and we even expect a lot more by 28th of this month. and especially when the parliament...
It's the rush hour now.
Yes, it's now the rush hour. So, however, whether they come, especially Kalonzo or not, we still expect Kenya Kwanza to win. But it's a good addition, because the way politics are being done now, we are trying to look at the ideologies. What are you coming to offer? Vis-a-vis the rhetoric politics, where people say Tiarara and you follow, Tibimu you follow. And yes, people who surround you, Ben, they mean a lot to you. You know, if you look at the NDP, it's surrounded with the minds, like Kingi, like Professor Kindiki, like Akina Wahome. The other side you find Akina Tori, and I'm sorry, I'm not just naming people, but Kina Junet. Those are people that may not actually advise you, because whatever you say, they say amen. We need people that can tell you, no, boss, I think here we cannot do this. We need to go this direction. Then, what are you offering to people? You've had Kingi announce some of the projects they are asking from Kenya Kwanza for the coastal people, and they've agreed that once Kenya Kwanza comes into power, they should really look at the cashew nut factories, or rather blue economy in its entirety, and the people of Coast will be happy. So I would just urge the people of Coast to follow such leaders like Kingi, not the people that will just follow him because you assist them in politics, but they have nothing for the local person. Yeah.
Yes, and Gigi, perhaps also can dig in, looking at what either political party is bringing to the table. Politics is a game of numbers. You guys know that because you're in politics. Pa and Mandeleo Chapchap. Yesterday, Azimio, some politician shrugged it off, said that, what numbers do these guys have? You know? And looking at all what he's talking about, some of the things that he could have done as a governor, he's talking about, after we've signed a pact, these are the things that we are going to address once we take government.
You know, first of all, you cannot brush off people. These are people who represent aspirations of a certain group of people. And it doesn't matter whether they're 2 or 3. Those are Kenyans. And this is the problem that we have had in this country. That we have come to start, you know, dismissing some people. Sasa hao ni akina nani waende, you know. But you must know, when Amason Kingi comes, whether he's representing the Chunyis and there are 16 of them, or there are 200, or there are 200,000, or 1 million, those are actual Kenyans, and it's not just statistics. The moment we stop looking at people as statistics, and we start realizing that these are livelihoods, these are people who represent, you know, aspirations and dreams, and then we start moving. And I'll tell you why. Sorry. Amason Kingi has just talked about the economy that was disrupted by the SGR. And it is so systemic. We have removed employment from Mombasa and from the coastal counties of Kilifi, Kwale, Mombasa. All of this to benefit, because all this money that now we have been forced to pay SGR and the contractors, all this money goes to China. This is money we are getting jobs from people at the coast and people along all this route that, I mean, it was a serious economy. When the trucks and lorries going to Uganda used to come from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi and to Malaba, there was a huge economy that represented over 200,000 people who earned directly from that route. That has a ripple effect of people, close to 1 million people who are fed from that economy. We killed it. So, and after killing it, what we did with that money, we took it to China. And I keep giving this example. We must start looking at these things and start looking at people's livelihoods, and we must start looking at jobs. You know, because after all this Ulabalu, after all this is said and done, politics is about division and distribution of resources. Okay. And we're saying that he also talked about fishing and the blue economy, like Diego has said, because we must start now expanding our cake as opposed to fighting for this small cake. I mean, we are probably, the size of the economy is still shrinking. When you look at it vis-a-vis the growth of the population. I mean, and therefore, when we start we'll have a lot of fights for this small cake. But we start now to start asking ourselves, what do we do to use the ocean that we have? Can we fish so that we add some more to the economy?
Okay. And because of the interest of time, let's check on something else. Looking at yesterday, IEBC Chairperson Wafula Chebukati announced that all parties, of course, a lot of parties, including the two major coalitions, have not been able to actualize the 2/3 agenda rule. That is something that even Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga talked about, and he said the president just dissolved this parliament because we are not following the law. We are not following the constitution that we worked so hard and tirelessly for in actualizing the 2/3 agenda rule. They now have up until Thursday, but we are not seeing anything else. What is nagging us to the point that we have been able to actualize a lot of things that we promulgated and passed in our 2010 constitution, but now we are not able to do a simple thing as just to actualize the 2/3 gender rule?
Ben, you know, politics is about democracy. It's about the willing, let me say, seller, willing buyer. And you cannot force people into politics. People decides whether they want to get into politics or not. And some political parties like us, Chama cha Kazi, we've done the best because none of the ladies or a woman that came to maybe contest for a certain political seat and they were denied, none. All of them were given certificates. But you would still see the percentage did not get to 30% or that. So what that law basically is doing is trying to force us to go look for some people just to cover up the gap, whereas in actual sense, they would not be adding any value. However, I am happy that like Chama cha Kazi, we've worked on it and we have complied.
Or the
yes,
aspirants.
We have complied on a rule from MCA, Senator, MP, Governor. We don't have a presidential candidate. Our presidential candidate is Ruto.
Okay.
So, but we have complied as a party.
Perhaps, Gigi, you can dig in because your party, UDA, has not yet complied with the 2/3 gender rule. But it's not just UDA, even the Azimio coalition and a lot of parties. I'm just mentioning those because they're on the lips of everyone. And it's something that we have been struggling to do, even in parliament, even in political seats, even in we have to do the affirmative seats each and every time, but we still cannot actualize that, and it's something enshrined in our constitution.
Ben, to be honest, we must be honest with ourselves and say we had, even the constitution envisaged this situation.
Yeah.
And it's a process. We have to give education to our people to get involved in politics. Our women, our youth. For me, the affirmative action is not just about women. You know, politics is about representation, and I've been seeing someone saying that that the issues of democracy is because, you know, I don't know, we have this kind of people who think like this. Everybody requires and is entitled to representation. If you're a woman, you're entitled to representation because a woman understands a fellow woman better. If you're a young man, you understand the issues of fellow young men better. And that is why, for example, you find our party, we do not think that the other side carries the aspirations of Kenyans because we are the majority. The majority of the people are young. The majority of people are the ones who are taking people to school. We are the people with children that we're educating. People who are, I mean, there's a guy who we want to have as a presidential candidate, who before I was born was involved here at KBC in overturning the government and in creating a coup. I mean, 2 years before.
Unfounded and and he's not even here to defend himself.
Okay, fine. I withdraw that statement. Yes. No, I apologize. I don't withdraw, but I apologize. But you see, so the majority is being represented that way. So I'll say this: we must be honest and realize that there's an issue. Because you will not go and force people to come and vie. So what we need to do as a society, and this is not about the parties, this is as a society, we must go and ask people to start getting involved in politics. As we say, we have even been asking, like you remember, we've been asking people, let's try and have more educated people in contesting for these seats. So that even those people, if you're at the university level, let's have one, as opposed to sitting and complaining, get your people involved in politics. So we have a lot of work to do as a society to get our women involved in education, to get them involved in politics, to get them involved in business, and in all other spheres, so that we have parity in all aspects of life. So I'll say that it will be hard. I mean, the parliament that is sitting now tried very hard, but even Maraga himself, even as he talks,
yes,
you also realize even in judiciary, some of this disparity is not just in politics; it is everywhere. And this disparity is, when you go to this town and you look at businesses that are owned, when you go to the register of businesses and you see the names of people who are directors of companies, you also realize we have more men. So it's a societal issue.
Okay, but gentlemen, to be very honest, of course, I'm joined by Gigi Kagombe, who is the UDA candidates for Gatundu South, and Diego Ngugi Wilson, who is the Chama cha Kazi candidates in Tharaka. And gentlemen, talking about SGR and lands, to be very honest, he has been the deputy president for almost 10 years now. These are not the issues that he should be coming up with right now. Diego?
Ben, there are issues that he should be coming up with. Because one, if you look at the Constitution of Kenya, anybody with the title deputy actually is very powerless. We need to work on our Constitution progressively. Because deputies have no authority, they have no power actually to do major changes. Anything stops with the president. Even at the county level, anything stops with the governor. The deputy governor is so toothless. So they have no capacity to really make changes. But Ruto, as a president, is able to stand up and say, this is what we must change. It has been peace. And again, you know, when you are a deputy of an interested party, I'm sorry to say, you may not really bite your boss. You need to work with him.
Diego, we're also running the risk of doing the same thing you're saying, because
yes,
if at all the deputy is quite toothless, looking at the constitution that we have, and Kenya Kwanza will also have a running mate, right? The DP
yes,
will have a running mate.
Yes.
Will also be toothless. Would you want the next DP, if Ruto takes government, to be as toothless as you're saying?
It also depends with the main person, the president. Because if the president gives you power, he has authority also to give his deputy power, and he can also get out that power. The same thing that happened to our deputy. His power was withdrawn, majority of his functions were given to another cabinet minister. So what really happens is the president is cause. So if the president is willing to have a deputy that can be earned, that can actually give his mind and function as a deputy president, then the president will have done as well. However, we still need to have constituted functions of a deputy president, such that none of them that can be removed from his functions. If that is done constitutionally, then we will be able to have a better Kenya than we have today. So if we have the Ruto that we are supporting, and then he changes his mind after elections, then we still have a toothless deputy.
That's a big risk that we are running. We were talking about the deputy president. Okay, let's first of all talk about the deputy president, so that we may talk about the running mate. And as Diego is talking about, it's true, we have seen that in some positions that the deputy is quite just that. Like in counties, Diego, you've worked in the counties.
Yes.
The deputy is just that, is more or less like a rubber stamp. But we need to change that. He's talking about if we have a president, and if Ruto takes over government and becomes the president that does not value his or her deputy, it means that we will be in the same pot each and every election cycle, that the Cold War that we have seen in the current government.
Two things. One, I agree with Diego. We need a properly we need it in the constitution. We need it entrenched.
Clear mandate for the
clear mandate of the deputies across board, that they have mandate that they can actually work. But then we also run the risk of creating conflict and two centers of power. And I'll tell you, when you're flying, you have a first officer and a pilot. You have the captain and the first officer. And should anything happen, when your journey is smooth, everything is fine. But should anything happen, the last word is with the captain. It doesn't matter what the first officer said. The last word is always with the captain. So I don't know why we want to absolve the captain of this of this plane here from blame. I mean, the last word is with the captain. So if anything went wrong, so the deputy president said, give me a mandate for me to be now the captain, and then you will ask me those questions. So that, I think that covers that debate. Now, secondly, we want to also ask ourselves, how has this person been over time? And there are people who generally love, who will generally just choose you and proceed. But you realize the deputy president has succeeded, has had a very successful career. I mean, to be honest, you look at him, there is no one time he's ever been out of government or he tried to vie for a position and he failed. He has always, and this is because he has had his people together. He's able to form a coalition and he's able to coalesce people around him. And you find that people that he was with in 1992 are still with him. Now you find people who are his deputies, who are his assistants, who he's been with for 20 years. I mean, it tells you something about his character, that he's able to work with people. I'm not certain I can say the same about the current situation.
All right. Away from that, let's look at the running mate. Of course, it's something that has been on Kenyan lips each and every day until when you have a substantive one. Kenya Kwanza, they will have their way of how they will handle that. But Azimio decided to do what we can call interviews, where today also they're expected to complete the exercise at the Serena Hotel. And we expect to be having a running mate for the Azimio coalition. You did talk about you're not shocked if Kalonzo decides to jump ship and come to your bandwagon, but looking at the options that these people have, and especially let's talk about first of all Kenya Kwanza, we haven't seen it so robust as for Azimio, because Azimio decided, because if you can trust a surgeon with your body, you have to first of all have doctors' interviews, you see. So they decided to do the same thing and have their interview so that they may get the best and the right candidate. But what options do we have? Because at the end of the day, you have to balance. It's not like a job interview, because this one you also have to balance with a lot of politics dynamics, like the numbers as well and the region.
Ben, Azimio is between a handy place and a rock. One, they are trying to see how they can appease the central people. So, that's a big vote block. Unfortunately, none of their candidates from that region, the ones that have been called for interviews, none of them can hand them a vote. I mean,
what about Kalonzo Musyoka? He made
Kalonzo is not from Kenya.
The last minute, he's changed his mind.
Yeah,
I'm not going there, but he's there now as we speak.
Currently, we are talking of now Mount Kenya. Kalonzo, you know, is from the Lower Eastern. If you look at the people that have gone for interviews from Azimio in Mount Kenya, they are not popular in terms of politics in Mount Kenya. So, if they are looking for popularity, which of course is the basic thing in politics, then Azimio has no option to take somebody from Mount Kenya. So, the only option they have, and this I'm speaking as Diego.
Yes.
They have an option of taking Kalonzo to reduce the margin of defeat. not to win.
I didn't expect that. Reduce the margin of defeat.
Actually, he will assist them better than anyone from Mount Kenya. I'm very sincere. The other option that they can try to bring complications is by taking Oparanya. If they take Oparanya, then they will be now they will make Luya and battlefield for between
UDA. The votes there.
Yes, yes, but and don't see other option. If they take somebody from coast, they will fail terribly. If they do take somebody that I saw the other day, don't know from where, they will still fail terribly.
Yes.
And like Kenya Kwanza, where the leaders came together, and the majority of them are willing that I have no interest in the deputy. What I need is let us get the government, then from that government let us get a share. So the battle in Kenya Kwanza has reduced to few individuals who are also willing to talk to one another. And when you are talking to one another, you don't have to go for interviews. And the good thing is both the Eastern and Mount Kenya region in its entirety, UDA and the Kenya Kwanza is popular, just like Chama cha Kazi. So whoever the deputy president picks as a deputy president to him, because now he will be the presidential candidate, and especially if he takes Kindiki, Professor, I think he will be going to go.
All right,
Yeah.
dig in that so that we may look at the Parliament is resuming today for the final session, and I'm quite sure in your constituencies you have a scorecard of what our good MPs have done. Kindly.
So, first of all, I must say that we must look at representation for what it is. And representation means that you listen to those people out there. We are forming a very bad precedence. That we can sit in some offices here, we can sit at Serena or sit at whatever hotel it is in Nairobi and pick candidates for the people out there. Because now we are going to build on it, and next time we'll have a monarch where people just sit and say, okay, now we have appointed so-and-so to be president or to represent us in this. I think that is a very bad precedence. And that is why Kenya Kwanza is going down there to the people and asking, what are you saying? What guides UDA and Kenya Kwanza together is the decibels of the people. What are the people saying during a rally? What are the people saying? And you know, voters have only one time to speak in a 5 years cycle. And that's why they come and tell you. That's why you find a lot of them very frustrated, because they probably didn't have, they don't have a mid-term plan to come and say, we do not like what you're doing. And it's a very, well, it's the way it is, but it's very sad. So you must be very careful to listen to them, so that even when you go back, you tell them, but you're the ones who told me to do this. Yes. This is what you had decided. Now, that said, Parliament is coming back, and I think I would have hated, sincerely, to be a member of Parliament in this Parliament that has just exited, that is just about to exit.
Yes. Why do you say that?
Because I think they had been taken hostage by the executive completely. I mean, I would have, I don't think a lot of them had executed what they would have wanted to execute. Let's
look at your constituency. You want to take over after Moses Kuria, who is seeking another position. What are some of the things that perhaps he never did right? Because you say they more or less like had state capture.
No. I'm talking about you know Parliament. We must start looking at Parliament for its collective responsibility, because the work of Parliament is to make laws, is to legislate, and there's no parliamentarian who makes laws for Gatundu South. You make laws for the country. And that's why Parliament sits, to make laws for this country. So what I'm saying is that the collective responsibility of Parliament has been really they've done very bad, because because there's been a lot of frustration and very bad working environment between them and the executive. You remember, you know how many laws have been taken back from State House back to Parliament, and with a lot of bile and with a lot of bad blood and words said, and all those things.
Looking at the scorecard,
but the scorecard, I mean, if I were to look at Gatundu in isolation, I would say the current member of Parliament did a good job. For where he could, I mean, what was practically possible. The issues that you want to talk about, maybe infrastructure, roads, electricity, those things have been done. The issues, of course, where there needs to be improvement or something worked up on what he did. But I don't think I would honestly say that he was a very bad member of Parliament. I would say he tried for live for the time when he had health challenges, and therefore, I mean, those are issues that you really see and you allow. But I still want to come to this point that the work of Parliament cannot be seen in isolation and cannot be seen. You cannot divide it and say, now this is what you did for this area, because the constitution that we put in place in 2010 envisaged, and we must start telling people the truth, so that we start looking at civic education and start saying, what is the work of a member of Parliament? Is to make laws, but we have institutions that are put by law to look at some issues. Like when you talk about roads, we have the Roads Board, we have Kura, we have Kenha, we have Kera. They are supposed to be allowed, given a space to work. such that a member of parliament is only supposed to make laws and make sure that those laws are followed.
All right.
If it is electricity, then someone is doing, if it is water, if it is services, if it is education, we have KEICD that is supposed to be developing that. We have TSC that is supposed to be making sure that they are teachers. We have all those works. We need to make sure that the institutions of these countries work.
All right. Diego, today Parliament is actually taking its last session now before we go for the 2022 general polls. Looking at your constituency and the performance that has been there, Gigi has talked about they really didn't do the work as they should have, but you also have a say in that.
You know, when you say Gigi, our current member of parliament uses the same.
Okay, this is Gigi Kagombe.
The other one is also Gigi.
All right.
And I think I agree with my friend Gigi here that the current parliament actually has failed Kenyans. They passed laws that have made life under. If you look at the prices of almost every commodity, when they passed the laws of the fuel and all those taxes that were increased, it actually worked against us. And I think we need people that can think, how would Kenya get money without necessarily pressing Kenyans?
Yes.
And that is very much possible. The current member of parliament in our place, he has done what I would call the minimum,
bare minimum
to our expectation. We really expected him to lobby.
What are some of the things perhaps you can point out and you intend, or maybe you could change if you
personally, I'll change the entire infrastructure. For the last 5 years, Tharaka has not got even a single kilometer of tarmac. And Tharaka actually, in its entirety, has a total of about 15 kilometers of tarmac in its entirety. Tharaka has an electricity coverage of less than 10%. You can imagine a whole constituency. Yeah, it is still in Tharaka that the pupils have performed very well, but close to half of them, they are not going to schools because of school fees issues. Our roads are pathetic. There is no water. There is no lighting. I mean, the socio-economic aspects has been denied to the people of Tharaka. So personally, I'll be working towards changing the economy of Tharaka people, because that is what can alleviate poverty. The poverty levels in our place is really high. If you find people that have a problem even in eating, then that person cannot even afford the school fees. So that is an area that I would want to touch, and I'll touch you know, when you bring power, especially electricity, some people will start having self-employment. If you seek the companies to invest in Tharaka, and also talk to the other investors that have already invested in other parts, and you try to create job opportunities for your people, that will change the economy of the area. If the infrastructure and the water is available to people, even the person that has no maybe formal education can farm and still get money. That will change our economic portion in our constituency. So generally, Ben, I would rate our current member of parliament at around 30%.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, and of course, your scorecard, you're going to tell us perhaps the percentage on a scale of 1 to 10 where you can rate our current MPs. But let's take a quick break, but we'll be right back so that we may wrap up this discussion. Welcome back, and just in case you just joined us, we are talking about matters of politics on News Check, and we have had quite a discussion here, and of course the DP was also welcoming the leader and the party PAR to the Kenya Kwanza fold. But as we are almost wrapping it up, we are looking at the scorecards of MPs, because today they begin the last session before we head to the general polls. And what have they been able to do? And bearing in mind that we have the biggest budget not only in East Africa but in the region, and they are supposed to ensure that we also as Kenyans have an easy time, not only because of the polls, but of course we had a battered economy and COVID did not do any better. Let me wrap it up with the Gigi Kagombe, who is seeking a political seat, he's seeking the seat to be the next MP for the president's backyard, that is Gatundu South. Your scorecard when it comes to what the MPs have been able to do. You said very well that they didn't do a very good job because of what you term as state capture. But let's just give them a scorecard.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give the collective responsibility of Parliament 3.
Yes.
They did not stand with the people. Mm-hmm. They did not. This is Parliament that oversaw the taxation of fuel. This is a Parliament that saw a removal of excess duty on products that are manufactured here and therefore killing our economies. This is Parliament that allowed the killing of the milk industry. Mm-hmm. This is Parliament that oversaw the killing of the plastic industry, where we are supplying over 70% to other countries within the East African countries. This is a country practically that has not. This is a Parliament that has not stood with the people. Mm-hmm. Actually, like I just told you, last week I was in London looking for markets for avocado and other farm produce, and I got some very serious market for avocado mm-hmm. and pineapples and tea. And we were in talks with the tailors of Harrogate and Tesco and many other outlets. Mm-hmm. And I have investors who are ready now to come and put up a center where we're going to be collecting our avocados in Gatundu town. And we start with Gatundu town and then go to other wards, mm-hmm. so that we collect them, we process them, so that once your avocado is ready, you just take it to the center. You collect, you sell, mm-hmm. you get your money, and then it's exported.
You have done a good job. What if they don't elect you as the next member of Parliament? Will still the markets and whatever you've been able to do, will you continue with that?
I will work with whoever is going to be there, because this is a passion. This I'm not doing, I mean, I didn't even tell them that I'm going to do that. I'm doing it because I have passion for it. And I'm mm-hmm. thinking that I am a resident of Gatundu myself. Mm-hmm. I am a farmer. I have tea, mm-hmm. I have avocados, I have pineapples. So I also want to create market for my own self, for mm-hmm. my brother, for my sister, for all of us, so that we go together as a group. And I say, mm-hmm. it is better to walk. If you want to go far, walk with the people. If you want to go fast, then you probably do it alone. And so this is something that I want us to do together. And I know mm-hmm. we still have time. And that is not even something that I've envisaged. In fact, in any case, why would they not elect me? The people of Gatundu are just waiting for the 9th of August so that they put me on that seat, and they know that we are going to do these two things in Parliament. One, we must instigate and put measures that will create employment. First of all, we must make sure that we do not import. We have killed our economy by allowing, like I said, excess duty on imported produce. I mean, if you look at this table, we import everything. Even this pen is imported. The plastic bottle that you're just using to have water, everything you have, even your clothes are imported. Yet we have people here that can make our textile industry work. I was with the people of Mitumba people the other day, and they were saying that they're willing to put up money aside to help the textile industry in this country, the cotton industry, so that we can start producing our own. That is something that we must do, so that we have a positive balance of payment. Every year we had the biggest deficit in balance of payment, at coming to $1.32 billion last year by September. Imagine that the money we paid outside was a lot, was so much more than our economy can hold. And that is the thing that we're going to do. Secondly, we must also look at empowering our people at the constituency level, so that we make sure that we, together with other government bodies, that we have education and we're able to get our children through school. We know people are feeling the pain, Ben. Let me tell you, people out there are calling with their hands on the phone, because when the bell rings that your airtime is over, you don't know where you're going to get the next airtime. When you fuel, when you mafuta kidogo ya kupika ikiisha, you don't know where you're going to get the next bottle. So those are issues that you must address, and we will only address them by creating employment and making sure that what is produced in the sub-county, in the constituency, gets a market, because we have people who have avocados, we have all those produce, and then we start value adding. Even other farm producers like potatoes and sweet potatoes. And
in Gatundu South, the MP, in the next a month or so, he will have now gone to the electorate to seek for a higher office. How do you rate him?
I will leave the people of Gatundu to make the choice.
All right.
And I will not preempt it. They know they are the best judges. Like I keep saying, this representation, sisi watu wa mashinani, tunaamini ground, tunaamini watu wa Gatundu, na najua watu wa Gatundu watafanya ile kazi yenye anafaa kufanya.
MPs, today is their final stretch.
Yes.
Gigi has given them 3 out of 10 because of the things that he has mentioned that they have failed to do, and especially shield Kenyans from the high cost of living.
Yes.
You want the same seat?
Actually, I agree with the Gigi that I also give them 3 out of 10 because the Kenya is at its worst. I think since I was born, this is the worst time ever Kenya has ever earned. So I really think the current parliament has wasted Kenyans, and the majority of them actually will lose their positions because nobody would want to go with somebody that doesn't care about others. You only care about yourself. Going back to my constituency, Ben, it's a sad story when you have close to a half of your schools without water, close to more than 30% of your schools without power, and the common amenities, toilets, Monday classes, so it makes education pathetic, and you're still teaching the children that education changes, and they feel that maybe they are member of parliament because they have passed through this education system is supposed to assist them. So one of the areas that I'll be looking at is actually to promote education by making sure the infrastructure in the education is well done. Then Tharaka has a lot of minerals. We have lime, we have all forms of the jewelry stones and all that. Even the stones that is used to make metals, they're actually found in Tharaka. So I'll be working with the national government, especially the Minister of Mining, to see whether we can start at least a factory in our region. And still that will be looped to the county government to assist together with me to see how we can create employment through those factories. And as I understand earlier, majority of the young people are jobless. So I will have to put a mechanism to create jobs that includes what I've just spoken and many others. If you look at the infrastructure, roads, there are no roads in Tharaka. That is one of the areas that are addressed after the 9th of August, once we get into the parliament. And in Tharaka, there are farmers, cereal farmers. Just like my friend has said, in his backyard, there are avocados, there are tea. Tharaka, we don't have tea, and we don't have avocados, but we have things like in green grams. We have dengus and other cereals. So I'll work together with other leaders and also have a few representatives of the community to make sure the prices of our cereals, they've been heightened, they've gone up. And that's the only way that we can help our people. The cereal prices, the livestock prices, because we are also farmers of livestock. If those two things are taken care of, and then we get water for people, and we get electricity for people, we get good infrastructure for our education, we get jobs for our young people, then we do roads as much as we can. I can assure you Tharaka won't be another place. Yes. Every investor would want to come.
And still on Tharaka, because the next hour we are going to be talking about food security, and in some parts of Tharaka have been flagged as being places that need urgent assistance when it comes to food.
Yeah, that's true. And the reason being, Tharaka is a semi-arid place. Majority, the bigger part of Tharaka is a semi-arid place. So you don't expect a lot of production. That's why what we produce there actually is the cereals that requires very little water. So the major problem with the Tharaka community is water. And we've had people, we've seen even in news that people would even be taken to hospital because they've not had food for days, quite a number of days. And we have witnessed myself, found people in their houses, they've not eaten even for 3 days, and we have leadership. So this is the leadership that I want to really change and work with the people to alleviate poverty and the problems that are facing our people.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay, I wish you all the best, and of course I would have wished to have somebody from Azimio, of course, to kind of bring some light also when you talk about the politics of the day. And the deputy president of the running mate factor is still a key issue that is being addressed in the country. Of course, we have come to the end of the first hour of our show today. We're talking about politics. A lot is in store. We also have the Azimio running mate. Raila Odinga will be talking about that a little bit later. We are following up keenly on that, but allow me to just give each a minute to wind up. Gigi, your final sentiments.
Very good. I will tell the people of Gatundu to do this country justice.
All right.
By taking me to Parliament,
okay,
to represent them and other Kenyans, so that we make laws that are going to help us out of this poverty. Please, okay, walk this journey with me.
Okay.
Wacheni tuende bunge, mundipeleke bunge, so that we walk the journey together. We kick poverty out of our area.
Diego, final minute.
Thank you. I will also request and urge the people of Tharaka constituency. Ninawaomba kwa unyenyekevu. You vote me in as your member of parliament on 9th of August, and things will change. I'll change the economy of the people.
All right. Thank you so much.